around the financial aspects for longevity. Then there are two important topics that we want to throw open, and then we will go into the resolution. So that's the idea. So, question is why longevity and why now? And people are getting ever before lifespans are extending globally. Longevity is now considered one of the three mega trends around the world, next only to climate change and artificial intelligence. And India is aging rapidly. You saw 347, some people 300, 350, whichever. It's a very large population by 2050 population. But systems, healthcare, finance, work are yet to align to longer lives. So that's the. So, I don't know how many of you have seen the chart in this forum. When I saw it, it was a revelation. For 100 years, between 1825 and 1925, the life expectancy at birth remained flat at 25 years. And look at the trend right after 1925. It's just going up and up. We have added 4.5 years of life expectancy per decade ever since 1925, the last 100 years. And there seems no sign of a breakthrough. We are still adding 2.5 years per decade in life expectancy. And you see why this is important. You say, look, it's happening all over the world. It's not happening all over the world with the same level of dramatic rise that India is seeing. You see on the right hand side is what UK has seen. No, it's a lot more gradual. Whereas for us in the last 100 years, it has really taken off. And this has implications that we have not fully understood. How many of you have still spoken to or seen a 100-year-old? Very few, right? Even those, you've probably seen 2 or 3 best. This will be a lot more commonplace as we move forward. And what is the implication? So we talk about population pyramid, and it did look like a pyramid, not too long ago, 2011. So we have a large number of children and very few elders, So this is what is going to be by 2036. It's no longer going to be a pyramid, right? So you see the bulge moving up and up. Next chart. So this is the WHO chart. By 2023, we were already, the bulge had started to move up. And by 2050, you see the bulge going up more towards the 50s. These are the other statistics that some of you will find it quite interesting and even startling. Between now and 2050, the population grows 18%. The overall population grows 18%. If I had asked you the question, what is the percentage of growth of 80 plus population, you would have probably thought maybe 30%, 50%. It's 279%. So it's a 15 times the average growth rate of the population. And 60 plus is growing at 7.5 times the average growth rate of the population. So when somebody says, okay, people are living longer, the first thing that comes to mind is the health related aspect. I don't know whether it's still there. This is the WHO exploration of aging. Aging results from the impact of accumulation of a wide variety of molecular and cellular damage over time. This leads to decrease in mental and physical capacity and growing risk of disease. So this is what comes to mind. Let's go to the next chart. So what does it say in terms of prevalence of diseases by age? It's not 1 or 2, multiple diseases. As you age, you are prone to multiple diseases. So what's the impact of that? So what it would mean is as we were discussing, each elder is different in his or her own right. Because there's not much of uniformity that you can expect, as you can expect in other demographic like children. Right? So you can be 80 and still be very healthy, and you can be 60 and have multiple diseases, right? Or that we have seen. So the support requirement also will start changing. And who's going to support the elders? Fortunately or unfortunately, the longevity trend is also accompanied by a severe decrease in the fertility. That's something most of us know. In 1950, there were 6 children per family. It's going down to 1.8. And what you see now is actually 2022. It's already gone back to very close to replacement ratio of 2.1. So families are smaller, migration is quite common, and some of the issues that we discussed in the morning, whether it's mobility, transportation, smart homes, all of this is important because while our elderly population is increasing, the urban elderly population is growing 3 times the rural elderly population. So which complicates many of the issues that we're talking about. So moving on. So what this also means, you will see the increasing slope of this curve. This is old age dependency ratio. If you are elder or if you are very young, then you need to be supported by working age population. Because of the huge increase in the longevity, the dependency ratio is increasing, not only increasing at a higher slope as we move forward. And that has a huge implication. So this implication is finally getting recognized within the policy making circles. So NITI Aayog produced this report about senior care reforms, and it was heartening to note the same thing that we have been talking about, that we need an ecosystem. It's not one business or one particular provider can solve the problem across all the needs of the elders, across all the locations in the country. Going on. But it's not all gloom and doom. There is one chart that I wanted to share with you. As you age, it's not necessary that you need to be less happy. There is an inverse correlation after a certain point that you can be and you will be happier as you approach 60 and move on, because you have lesser things to deal with, as one example. And the 2 lines here, it so happens that the married people seem to have a higher quota of happiness. Okay, let's move on. So what it means, so if the population is increasing and they need support, who's going to support them? The working age population, that's been such a huge point of discussion in the country, that we have the demographic dividend, because as the rest of the countries see the working age population coming down, our working age population was increasing, but not for too long. As you see the chart there, the orange one is the working age population, 15 to 59, which was increasing for the last 50 years. Soon it will start to go down. Whereas the gray line right at the bottom is the 60 years and above. Again, that's increasing with an increasing slope. So more and more elders will have to be supported by less and less children. And what's the implication? That's a huge implication. What you see on the right hand side, in 1950, the working age population had to support 9 elders and 65 children. By 2050, this will flip. The working age population will be supporting more elders than the children because of all these issues that we talked about. So there are multiple challenges and multiple stakeholders. That's something that I would like to open this door to. There is obviously healthcare related. What can government do? Number of geriatricians is low. There are mental health related issues, social isolation. There is huge implication on the families if we talk about the dependency ratios and so on. There is a caregiving burden that you need to handle. Because earlier you used to have some siblings to manage, if everything has to be handled by a single child family, what will happen? Generations living together, if they are living together, many times they are living apart, but still have to support each other. There is technology related aspects that we discussed a little bit in the morning. Digital literacy, ease of use, cyber security and scams, all those things will come into play because as you live longer, you have to use technology. There's no escape, but it comes with its own at its own cost and operates. So, what is the impact of working age population starting to decrease as a percentage of population? We are growing, we want to grow at 7%, 8%, and 10% in real terms. But if these working age population is going to go down as a percentage of population, where are we going to get these skills from? And what happened to all these 60 plus population? Do they suddenly become unproductive on the day that they turn 60? You have no choice but to start to use the senior talent in a much more predictable and a much more flexible manner, so that both the problems of the elders as well as corporates can get solved. Who will build the cat? Even today, I used to work for IBM, the retirement age is 58. Right? So if you are adding 4.5 years per decade in life expectancy, ideally speaking, you need to increase your retirement age 4.5 years every 10 years. It's impossible. It's not practical. But we have to find some other ways to flexibly use. We have to look at if all the working age population are going to be stressed. What are corporates doing to support those employees? If not for this employees' sake, at least for their own productivity sake. Right? There's a huge implication to corporates. Okay, so now you skip the slide. There are 3 gaps in longevity. Okay, one is the health gap. It's very, very easy for all of us to appreciate. There's a longer life. There is a lifespan and health span. All those discussions many of you will know. Ideally, your health span and lifespan should be the same. Your wealth span also should ideally coincide, but it's not. We're only talking about ideal. Purpose gap. What do you do? Earlier, you used to live for about 10 years post retirement. What if this 10 years become 40 years? What are you going to do? It's a huge, huge question. So, how do you use? What's the purpose of life for you? Right? So, there is a huge need to address some of this. And this is the second aspect that comes to our mind. One is health. Next is how do you make sure that my financial needs are taken care of? This is something I would hand over to Timana to take it forward.
I'm a banker, and I started my career as an employee. Everything at 50, 2025.